Thank you for allowing me to come and speak to you today. My name's Caroline Wood. I'm a Programme Manager for the one-to-one element of the Farm Advisory Service. I'm not sure how much you know of the Farm Advisory Service, so I thought I'd just give a very quick overview. But if I haven't gone into enough detail and you want to know more, then please do ask questions at the end of the presentation, or feel free to get in contact with me after the meeting, and I would welcome the opportunity to come and talk to you in person. The Farm Advisory Service as a whole is letters to contracts. So there's one contract delivered by SAC that provides events for farmers, the website, and there's also a helpline for farmers. I think the helpline itself is probably under-recognised. It can provide farmers with advice on any topic to do with agriculture. If it can't be answered by the service itself, then we can signpost to other organisations. So it's a really useful resource out there for farmers. The use of it is increasing on a monthly basis, but yeah, it definitely, if you come across farmers, and do direct them to that service. The one-to-one service, which I manage, sits behind the one-to-many, so we deliver the tailored one-to-one support to farmers. The one-to-one service comprises of integrated land management plans, specialist advice for farmers, carbon audits, and also mentoring for new entrants. I'll just go into each of those in a little more detail in the following slides. The integrated land management plan is intended to provide the business with a holistic review of their business. The starting point for an integrated land management plan is really the objectives of a farmer. It's not a generic review, nor, the starting point is what the farmer wants to get out of it. So often we see farmers coming to the service perhaps in a time when they're looking at succession planning, or if they're looking to improve the efficiency of the business or moving into a new sector. Generally, we're seeing farmers come into the programme at a time of change in their business, or within the markets they're operating. But it's open to farmers at all stages. Particularly at the moment, a key message that we're trying to communicate is that we don't know what the future will hold with Brexit, etc. But what you can do is manage your own resources within your own business and manage the efficiency of your business. So now is a good time to take a look at the business and see if there's there's any elements of your business that you can improve the efficiencies within at the current time. An ILMP is available to any farmer, crofter, land manager in Scotland. The only eligibility criteria we look at is whether they have a business reference number, so a registered business in Scotland, and whether they've had one before. Over the course of the programme, the programme's run from 2016 and currently is running up to 2020. Each business is only eligible to receive one integrated land management plan. The integrated land management plan, as I said, is supposed to provide a holistic review of the business. So whilst a focal point will be the key concern for the business, their objectives for the plan, there's also key elements of the business that we won't overlook. Whilst on the farm, we also look at the natural resources on the farm, we look at soil management, we look at biodiversity and conservation opportunities, whilst also looking at the more typical areas you'd expect, the financials, etc. There's £1,200 of funding for a plan for a business. The business does need to pay the extra 20% of those costs. Typically, plans are coming at about £1,500, so the business is having to pay £300 themselves to get that plan underway. As well as an integrated land management plan, businesses can also have two elements of specialist advice. The advisor who delivers an integrated land management plan must be an advisor who's FAS accredited, and there's currently 82 advisors in Scotland who have that accreditation status. When it comes to the specialist advice, because the range of specialist advice that a business might want to bring in is so diverse, we don't have a distinct pool of advisors who can deliver that. the business can identify their own advisor, and as a program we just need to check that they have the right qualifications and profile, etc., to be able to deliver that advice. I've just listed here the range of topics that we currently deliver specialist advice under. To be honest, I've yet to have a request for specialist advice that doesn't in some way fit within any of those categories, so it's pretty broad spanning. The farmer is eligible to have two elements of specialist advice. They can have the integrated land management plan and then come back at a later time and have specialist advice, or if they know that there's a certain area they want to look into in significant depth, they can actually apply to the program and have both the integrated land management plan and specialist advice delivered at the same time. There's no need with the previous program that ran before, the whole farm review. You had to have your whole farm review and then wait and then go on to specialist advice. But there's no longer that delay, so you can come in and have a holistic package in the first step. There's £1,000 of funding for any element of specialist advice, except for farm business efficiency advice and succession planning. That was really just set, I think when we first started out in the program, there were concerns that farm efficiency would kind of swamp out and use up all our budget when there was perhaps more of a commercial market for that advice anyway. In reality, that's not what we've seen happen. I think about 20% of the advice is on farm business efficiency. We're seeing about 20% on biodiversity and conservation. Woodland management is also quite popular. The only element of advice that we're not really seeing much demand for at the moment is archaeological and historic site advice. But the others, it's a fairly even split between the categories. We also deliver carbon audits for farmers. Really, the carbon audit is looking at the resource efficiency of a farm, using the carbon footprint as a sort of a metric. The carbon audit, the key value of a tool that I see is it will provide a breakdown of where your highest sources of emissions are, which process in your farm is producing the highest source of emissions. And it also benchmarks the farm against similar enterprises in their sector, which is quite motivational for farmers. The carbon audit will also provide details of where your emissions are occurring, etc., but it will also provide an action plan. The advisor will come on farm, deliver the carbon audit, and then based on the areas of improvement that we're seeing on the farm, will deliver a tailored action plan for the farmer. Unlike the other elements of the program, a farmer can come back and have a carbon audit every 12 months of a program. And we're seeing many farmers taking up that opportunity. There's £500 of funding available for a carbon audit, and that covers the full cost of that service. So all the farmer has to pay is a VAT element of that. We also deliver mentoring for new entrants. This is a really rewarding part of the program. New entrants to farming or who have been head of a business for up to 5 years can come to the program, and we will pair them with a mentor. The idea being that they can benefit informally from the experience of a long-established farmer, and really I think the sort of benefit we're seeing is that they develop a relationship. They have someone that they can bounce ideas off and someone at the end of the phone. The structure of a mentoring program is deliberately quite free-form. We ask that the mentor and mentee meet, and that the mentor attends the mentee's farm in the first instance, but thereafter they can continue through phone calls, they can visit marts. There's no specific structure that we require, and between themselves they can establish what works best. Through the program there's up to 4 days of support, and we'll pay the mentor £250 honorarium to recompense for their time. And we see some of them using it in just endless phone calls. others who've gone and attended the farm and maybe sort of had hands-on experience of shearing, etc., and have sort of blasted it in 4 days. But it's really up to the two of them to establish sort of what fits best. We're now, the program's been established since 2016. It was a completely new program at that stage. We're now 3 years into the program. And I guess the challenges are still pretty much the same. We're still really working to build awareness of the program, trying to ensure that we're identifying those in most need and finding the sort of best route to provide that support. For me, a key element of what I'm doing is trying to ensure that the service is really high quality. If we get the quality right, I think it will begin to speak for itself. And ensuring that everyone who's eligible to the service is using the free support that's available to them, and that we continue to grow the application rate. If I just talk a little bit more about what we're doing on the awareness front. The program has a website. It's one website that covers both the one-to-many and to the one service. On this website, we hope to provide a really clear journey for the farmer, information on what the screen can offer, case studies of those who've already utilised the service, and as simple as possible online application form. There's no need anymore to be sort of shuffling paper to us. It can all be done at the click of a button. We're also working with farmers who have used the service to date. We've got sort of 10 case studies that's growing on a weekly basis, identifying those advocates of the program who are willing to share their experience and encourage others to do so. There's some really enthusiastic advocates who've come forward. These case studies are available at events or shows, and equally, if it's useful to you, we can send out sort of paper copies of case studies or even sort of PDF versions to help to sort of reach new audiences. We've also got a large portfolio now of video case studies. The video case studies tend to be promoted by the FAS newsletter. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out to anyone who has chosen to subscribe. And we also use social media, Facebook and other channels to try and encourage awareness of the program and to share these videos. They're all available on the website, so do have a look. There's some really great videos there. We work with stakeholders. On a quarterly basis, we release a stakeholder pack, which is emailed to stakeholders. It includes any articles regarding the program, case studies, communication material, suggested tweets and sort of social media feeds. Currently it's sent to 213 contacts. We're always looking to grow that contact list. So if you'd like to receive the stakeholder pack, if you think it would be useful, then please do let me know. We also meet with the stakeholders in the industry on a quarterly basis. Again, just trying to work with other organisations who are delivering advice to farmers to identify if there are ways that we can work more intelligently together and collaborate rather than sort of vying for the farmers' audience. And again, working with yourselves, making sure that the support we're giving is supporting your work, and that we're able to sort of cross-reference between us and to work coherently to help the farmers. Just looking at those in need, when we sort of set out in the programme, we had some communication with RSABI, who were concerned that farmers would be off-put. They wouldn't want to take up the advice if there was a sort of financial component. And it's been agreed with the Scottish Government that if RSABI identify farmers in urgent need, they can come straight through to the FAS and receive specialist advice on farm business efficiency area. We do get a lot of these referrals, and unfortunately it does seem to be on the increase. This is the one caveat where you don't need to have an integrated land management plan before going to specialist advice. But I think Scottish Government are open to ideas of where there could be other areas where, if there is a specific need, which potentially, again, we have a similar situation where the ILMP is off-putting, then, I think there are options to have other sort of caveats to that rule and make specialist advice more available. So again, if you've got any feedback on sort of particular areas where you think that we could be doing more, or we could be supporting your work better through those sort of interventions, then do let me know. As I said before, a key bit of my job is working to ensure we have a high quality service. As I said, we've got 85 advisors from different advisory organisations working to deliver reports. We need to ensure that all the reports are a consistently high standard, and that's something that we're proud for a farmer to receive. In my role in the programme management role, we manage the quality assurance of the programme. So every single report that comes through a programme has previously been quality assured by us. Each ILMP, any first report, is also sent out to a peer review group who essentially grade the reports. And any report that scores under 5 in that initial grading, we carry on the next report from that advisor again for it goes through sort of peer review. Equally, if any report, when internally reviewed by Ricardo, flags a concern, we again send it out to the peer review group. What we found actually is the quality of the reports is excellent. It is good. Obviously, we're now sort of third year in. I think the advisors are really understanding what's required of them, and we have 54% of reports are now scoring a score between 9 and 10. And the peer review group are pretty rigorous, so I'm really pleased that we're getting to that stage where everyone knows what's expected of them, and reports are coming through at a quality we need. We also provide training to the advisors. This is to the FAS advisors who deliver the ILMPs. So we can provide training to them through an online portal. So again, if there's areas that you think the advisors should be more aware, if you've got specific topics that you think sort of advisors in Scotland aren't up to speed, again, let me know. We can make training available through that online portal at any time. We also provide face-to-face training to the advisors, normally annually, but again, if there was an urgent need, that doesn't need to be the case. So I've just included here the next training that we're delivering is in September. As I say, the training we deliver, it tends to be in response to weaknesses that we've identified in reports where we feel that additional support's needed, but also in guidance from stakeholders, what we're seeing happen in the industry. So you'll see from the agenda included there, a lot of the focus in this year's training is around managing financial resilience. I think we're all assuming that the market's going to become increasingly volatile. So that's a key focus for us there. But also on the carbon audits, just ensuring advisors are able to provide mitigation actions that are specifically addressing areas of highest emissions on farm. And so, again, that's just come through the sort of experience of what we're seeing in reports, and we use the training to address those specific needs. We also obviously have a focus to grow the application rate. What we've seen, this shows the profile of applications over the last 3 years. We've seen the application rate increase 20% year on year. I'm hoping we'll see another 20% this year and we'll be at capacity. But that's the sort of key driver for me, is that this support's available to farmers, and we need and want them to use it. Having worked in farm advice in England for the last, is it now 15 years? This facility isn't available to farmers in England. I think it's amazing we've got it, and I really want farmers to use it and to benefit from it. This just shows the sort of application rates that we have seen typically. This shows the last year's figures. We've tended to find that because farmers can come in and have one ILMP and 2 lots of specialist advice, we're having significantly more interest in specialist advice than was originally anticipated when the targets were set for the programme. It's really not surprising that is the case. What we're seeing currently, this shows the application rate for this business year, is that there's been a huge jump in farmers wanting carbon audits through a programme. So typically the carbon audit application rate would be somewhere around 20 a month in previous years. Through June and July this year, it's been up at around 130. That's actually being driven by the requirement from a beef efficiency scheme for farmers to have a carbon audit. In the first year of a beef efficiency scheme, they could have a carbon audit through the scheme itself. This year, farmers can either choose to do it themselves, though many are choosing to come and do it through the FAS option. It's great that the programme's being used. Really happy to see that happening, but we would still like to encourage uptake of ILMPs and specialist advice. I'm a bit concerned that advisors themselves are focusing on the carbon audit, potentially at the expense of other areas of the programme. So again, we're looking sort of for ideas of where and how we can sort of stimulate farmers to use the other elements of the programme as well. Just looking at the feedback. In the following slides, I've just shown you the stats of the feedback that we received for the programme last year. I'm really pleased that the quality of the programme is coming through. That 96% of farmers who had an ILMP last year would recommend the grants to other farmers. I think the feedback carries on in a similar stream across the specialist advice, the carbon audits, and for the mentoring. 100% stated they would recommend the service to other farmers. So I'm really, really happy that I think the quality's there. Those who use the service really benefit from it, but I would still like to get the word around and make sure that we get uptake up to 100%. And as many people benefiting from it as they can. This just shows, when we ask them in feedback forms to rank the benefits, various sort of key elements that are more important. So, carbon audits, the key benefit would be increasing awareness of climate change and energy use. Often people are stating sort of financial benefits as being sort of the key benefit they felt from the service, or better decision planning comes up many times. So in summary, to sort of finish off the presentation from me, I think where we are with the programme is that we have got a really good foundation. I'm happy that the quality is up there. I'm happy that I'm seeing a year-on-year increase in the growth and uptake of the programme. But I would still like to ensure that work on building the awareness. I think there's a lot of farmers out there who could use the programme, who need to use the programme, and I'd really ask you in your interactions with farmers if you could help to promote the service. Also, there was a lot of pushback when we first started with integrated land management plans, I think mainly from advisors who felt that it was too rigid a tool and it couldn't do what they needed. And I think we're just beginning to get over the hump of that advisors realise that it is a flexible tool. The ILMP does have a sort of fixed structure. As I said, there's elements of an ILMP that you can't ignore, but the focus can be put on the area that the farmer particularly needs. And it is incredibly flexible. I've yet to have a request from an advisor of, can an ILMP do this, that the answer hasn't been yes to. And I think the challenge in the next year is really, the industry's in flux. We don't quite know where it's going. There's a lot of uncertainty. And as I said before, the key element that a business can control at the moment is their own internal business and their own internal costs. So now would be an excellent time for farmers to use the service and to take advantage of the support that's available to them. That's it from me.